I'm Dr. Angel Zeininger, and I am a gross anatomist here at the Duke University School of Medicine. Today we're going to talk about the anatomy of the human eye, and we'll look at a dissection of a sheep eyeball. The sheep eyeball is very similar to that of the human. There are a couple of differences that we'll highlight when we're watching the video. So let's start with the anatomy of the human eyeball. Here you can see a drawing of an eyeball that's been cut in half, so you're looking at just one side of the eyeball. We have an area in the front called the anterior portion and an area in the back of the eyeball called the posterior portion. You can think about the eyeball as having walls or layers from outside to inside that protect the inner structures of the eye. The outermost layer is called the sclera. This is the white of the eye. It's a very thick and fibrous layer that runs all the way around the eyeball, going all the way anteriorly where it meets up with a clear portion of the eye called the cornea. The cornea is where light is going to enter into the eyeball. Here you can see that junction between the cornea and the sclera, and again see that sclera wrapping all the way around the eyeball. Sclera is an important site for attachment of the extraocular muscles. So there are 6 muscles we'll look at that move the eyeball, and they have tendons that insert right into the sclera. This way, when they pull, they can move the eyeball all the way around in your orbit. Just deep to the sclera, we have a layer called the choroid layer, and this is a vascular layer, which means that it has blood vessels in it. So you have arteries bringing oxygenated blood to the structures of the eyeball, and then you have veins that are going to drain deoxygenated blood away from the eyeball. Just deep to the choroid layer, you have the retina. And the retina is actually 2 layers. You have a pigmented epithelium with deposits of melanin in it, and you have a neural retina. The neural retina has the photoreceptors, the rods and the cones that can help you see in low light or color vision during daylight. The retina is going to be continuous with the optic nerve that is at the posterior portion of the eyeball. And the optic nerve is going to have all of that sensory information for sight, send it all the way back to your brain to interpret what you're seeing. We can also divide the eyeball into the anterior 1/5, and even though this is the smaller portion, it actually has a lot of structures in it. So starting from the outside, kind of going anteriorly to posteriorly, again we have that cornea here. Then deep to the cornea, we have an opening called the anterior chamber. This is filled with aqueous humor, which is a fluid that fills the anterior chamber here. Then we have the iris, and the iris you're probably familiar with when you're looking at a person's eyes. This is that circular portion that's colored. It has a hole in the middle of it called the pupil, and the pupil is the opening between the anterior chamber and the posterior chamber. So in the posterior chamber, you have the lens, and then the lens is connected to the structure called the ciliary body by these tiny little zonular fibers. So you see kind of these like little strings here that are connecting the lens to the ciliary body. The ciliary body has muscles in it, and when the muscles contract and relax, they either pull on the zonular fibers or relax the zonular fibers, and this can then change the shape of the lens. So the lens can be round and globular, or it can be kind of stretched out, a little more elliptical and thin. And depending on the shape of the lens, whether it's globular or kind of more elliptical, you can see better either near or far. In the posterior 4/5 of the eyeball, you have this gelatinous structure called the vitreous body or the vitreous humor. This is something we're going to see in the dissection video. The function of the vitreous humor is to create an internal pressure within the eye that's going to keep all of the other structures kind of in place. It'll push against the back of the lens and keep the lens anterior. It'll push up against the 2 layers of the retina and hold them right against each other. So the pigmented epithelium and the neural layer of the retina are not ever fused. They're just right up against each other. And if there's any sort of damage to the eye that disrupts the vitreous humor or allows fluid to get in between those 2 layers, you're actually going to have the neural retina kind of pull off of the pigmented epithelium. And this is what happens during retinal detachment. Here we're looking at the eyeball from an anterior view. We're looking kind of straight on at it. Again, you can see the white sclera of the eyeball. You can see in blue here the iris, and you see in black that opening within the iris called the pupil. Here we have muscles in red that are inserting right into the sclera. These are the extraocular muscles that move your eye. There are 4 rectus muscles, and there are 2 obliquely running muscles called the inferior and superior oblique. So the rectus muscles are kind of easy to decide what they do. The superior rectus is going to help you look up. The inferior rectus will help you look down. The medial rectus will help you look medially, which is towards your nose. So when you kind of put your 2 eyes together to look at your nose, you're using your medial rectus. The lateral rectus will help you look laterally, which is kind of outside. And so when you use your lateral rectus, you're looking out to the side. The 2 inferior oblique and superior oblique muscles come in at an angle. And what they can actually do is kind of twist the eyeball around its orbit. And this is represented by these arrows here showing you what we call intorsion and extorsion. And really they're working together with some of the rectus muscles to create this intorsion and extorsion. Here we have a dissection of a sheep eyeball. You can see the eyelid up at the top of the eye. You have the white sclera, and then we have additional tissue around the eyeball. We can turn this eyeball around to look at the posterior portion, and we're looking for the extraocular muscles as well as the optic nerve that's coming out just posteriorly. So we can see that there is a muscle that surrounds the optic nerve in the sheep. This is called the retractor bulbi muscle. And this muscle is absent in humans, so we don't have it, but it allows animals to pull their eyes all the way back into their orbit. So they can actually pull their eyeballs deeper into their orbit and protect their eyeballs. Here is that retractor bulbi muscle encircling the optic nerve in the sheep. We also have a lacrimal gland that's still observable. We can see that the lacrimal gland sits in the superior lateral portion of the orbit, and it secretes tears. So when you cry, tears are going to be secreted by the lacrimal gland, and they're going to flow across your eye. You can see those yellow lines and that yellow arrow showing the direction of flow of tears over your eye. The tears are then going to collect in the lower portion of your eye near your nose, and this is called the lacrimal sac. That'll drain then into the lacrimal duct or the tear duct. That tear duct is a direct connection between the orbit and the nasal cavity. So this is why you have tears flow down into your nose when you're crying. Now we want to get into the internal structures of the eye. So to do this, we need to remove all of the extra tissue that's around the sclera. So here we're going to be removing all of the extraocular muscles, that extra fatty tissue, and the lacrimal gland that were still attached. So you can see we use scissors to remove all of that tissue, and we want to get all the way down right to the sclera so that we can cut into the eyeball. So now with all of that tissue removed, you can again see the cornea, you have the white or the sclera of the eyeball, and then we still have a little bit of the optic nerve attached that we're holding onto right there as a little handle. So we need to pierce through the sclera, and this is difficult to do. We're going to take a scalpel blade and make a little hole in the sclera right there, and then we're going to use scissors to cut around the sclera, and we're going to do this circumferentially so that we end up separating it into an anterior half and a posterior half. So you can see the sclera is really tough, and it takes a little bit of time to cut through it completely. But once we do that, we're going to have 2 halves of the eyeball to look at. Okay, so here you can see we've cut it open, and what we really want to see first is this kind of gelatinous structure. So here you can see we're going to point at this vitreous humor or vitreous body, right? and it's kind of all in the anterior half right now. We want to get rid of the vitreous humor so that we can look at the deeper structures. So we're going to pull it out of the anterior half. There you see it. And now you can see kind of through the vitreous, you have the lens that you can see. That's that white, darker structure. We need to pull the lens out. And the lens, though, remember, is connected to those zonular fibers. And so those zonular fibers are holding it in. So it takes a little bit of effort to kind of pull out the lens, separate it from the ciliary body. But when you do, you can see the lens as separate. So this is an embalmed lens here. It's kind of hard and not very clear. Now we're looking at the anterior half of the eyeball from an internal view. You can see the white sclera that is encircling the eyeball here, and you can see how thick that is that we had to cut through. Then you see a lot of dark structures, and basically what you're seeing here is the iris that is surrounding this opening right here. So this is an opening called the pupil, and through that pupil we can actually see the back or the inside of the cornea. So this is the cornea, the opening is the pupil, and then the iris is right here. And then we have the ciliary body that is right next to the iris here. And you might be able to see kind of all these little bright lines on the ciliary body. This is where the zonular fibers would be. And the lens that's connected to the zonular fibers was sitting right in this area right here before we removed. So now we're looking at the eyeball from an anterior view again. You see that cornea, and we want to cut through the cornea so that we can see the anterior chamber. So here we're going to use scissors to cut through the cornea. The cornea is a very thick structure, so again this is going to be a little tough to kind of cut through with the scissors there. But once we cut through, we can use the probe to pull the iris away from the cornea. So the dark structure is the iris, the clear is the cornea, and we're in the anterior chamber there that's filled with aqueous humor. So now we want to look at the posterior half of the eyeball. That white structure that's being moved out of the way is the neural retina, and you can see how easily it can kind of pull away from the other portions of the eyeball. So that is kind of retinal detachment going on right there, that neural retina being pulled away. So all of that really shiny blue area is called the tapetum lucidum. And the tapetum lucidum is something that humans don't have, but sheep have it, cats have it. Animals that need to see clearly at night have this tapetum lucidum. And this is what creates eye shine in animals at night. So if you've ever seen a cat or a dog at night, you know that if you kind of shine a light on them, their eyes look like reflective. They're kind of shining right back at you. That's because the light is coming in through their eyes, it's hitting this tapetum lucidum, and it's reflecting back out at you. So this is something, again, that would be really cool if people had. It would allow us to see really well at night, but we don't need to see that well at night. What we really need is to see color very well. And so instead of having a tapetum lucidum, we have what's called a fovea in the back of our eye, in the retinal area, and this has a high concentration of photoreceptors that can help us see color really well. So we kind of have this trade-off where we can see really good color vision and other animals can see better at night. You can also see the kind of choroid layer with the vasculature there being pulled off, and again that white of the sclera that's going all the way around the eye. And I hope you enjoyed this quick tour through the anatomy of the human eye.